This Impact Wrestling review was brought to you by 5 Hour Energy. Try it, and TNA will learn how to make proper edits on the taped show when they have a whole freaking week to do it. So this was our Bound for Glory go-home show, and with the build-up for this pay-per-view in general having drawn a lot of criticism from a lot of people for being lackluster, underwhelming, too little too late, whatever, I'm going to do something a little different this time. Instead of my usual review, this week I'm going to go through the hype that we got on this show for each match on the Bound for Glory card one by one, and one by one I'm going to explain if they did or did not make me excited for this match. First off, at Bound for Glory, we have a Tag Team #1 Contenders match on the pre-show between Eric Young, Joseph Park, Bad Influence, and, more depressingly, Los Stereotypicos and the Bromance, with the winning team getting a title shot against Gunstorm on the actual pay-per-view. First, let me say this. I don't like this idea. WWE does stuff like this on their B pay-per-views to slap together mid-card title matches at the last minute, and they always end up not meaning anything. That's what this feels like. They had this Four Corners match here, which quite frankly was not that good, where the winner earns his team some kind of advantage in the #1 Contenders match, but I wasn't clear on what that advantage was exactly. It wasn't explained very well, and you could tell from how disinterested Tenay and Taz sounded that this really wasn't a big deal. And then a little later, we had Gunner versus Nux for some reason, in a match that felt completely random and also wasn't very good, and didn't let Gunstorm address the pay-per-view match at all. Honestly, this segment felt like pointless filler to me. I do like Storm and Gunner as a team, but their title reign has gone nowhere because they haven't had any interesting feuds. And rather than create one for these guys, like with Bad Influence for example, the writers have just kind of ignored them. I feel like I don't have much to get excited for with this title match because there's no real investment in the champions. I think the best thing for everyone here is for Bad Influence to get the nod and win the tag titles. And Kaz and Daniels are the best team, the most entertaining team you've got, and goddammit, they've been so awesome lately, they deserve this. Yes! Our Knockouts title match at Bound for Glory is ODB versus Gail Kim versus Brooke Don't Call Me Tessmacher. The only hype we got for that one this week was a quick pre-tape with Gail and Brooke talking about Lady Tapa, and that pretty much sums up this whole match for me. Originally, it was going to be Taryn Terrell versus Mickie James, which sounded cool to me, but then Taryn got pregnant and Mickie left, and now we've got basically a place filler. We've seen Gail versus ODB I don't know how many times this year, and Brooke is only in there so we won't get that same match yet again. There's no build-up to it, really. The final push was more about Lady Tapa than the title, and clearly Tapa's going to be the focus once this match is out of the way, so does it really matter who walks away with the belt? I hate to say it, but I almost don't care who wins this one. But if Tapa is going after the title, and it looks like she will be, then Gail winning this Sunday is probably the best way to go. I mean, Tapa's going to need a ring general to bring out the best in her. Gail Kim has the best track record in that department by a mile, and since I don't see Ivelisse anywhere, I think Gail is definitely the one we need. Samoa Joe and Chris Sabin had a match. Joe won, Aries, Minnick, and Hardy hit the ring, everybody started fighting, and that was our final hype for, stop me if you've heard this one, an Ultimate X match for the X Division title. The match was decent, but the booking of Sabin bothers me. Joe no-sold a lot of his offense, he was doing a lot of chicken shit stuff, and he tapped out really quickly. Sabin's the one with the new heel character in Valet. He's been doing really good with this new gimmick, and yet he's losing all the time now. It seems like anything he might have gained from his brief world title reign has kind of been thrown away. Maybe there's a reason for why he's been jobbing so much, but I'm not seeing one yet. The post-match fight was pretty good. As for the Ultimate X, I do like how they're calling it an all-star match. Makes it feel a little bigger, But once again, they're breaking out the Ultimate X to hide the fact that they couldn't put together a compelling X Division feud or storyline to bank on, and I'd much rather have something like that than the big car wreck spot fest. The Ultimate X has been overdone this year. The gimmick just means less and less to me the more they do it, and that's a damn shame because it used to mean so much. Aries, Manic, and Sabin in a triple threat I'd have been okay with. At least those guys have had history with each other recently. But then Joe and Hardy get shoehorned in there just because they didn't have anything else to do, I guess. Then they make it an Ultimate X, and any real individual feuds kind of disappear at that point. It'll be an awesome match, I'm sure, and I'm excited to see it for that, but from a storyline standpoint, I just keep thinking, can't we give this gimmick a rest for a while and give the X guys more storylines to sink their teeth into instead? Ethan Carter III had a backstage pre-tape where he was doing a photo shoot. It's pretty quick, but we learned that he's going to debut at Bound for Glory. We don't know if it'll be in a match or what, but he'll be doing something. I'm excited for this, but I also wonder if it's too soon for him. I think I'm going to really enjoy this character. He's entertained me in the short time he's been given, seems to have a lot of personality, but it's only been 4 weeks of vignettes to hype this guy. Is that sufficient for him to feel important enough to debut on the biggest show of the year? Unless they've got something really huge planned for EC3, I would have waited. I would have debuted him on the iMPACT after Bound for Glory. But more than likely this is being done to fill time because they only bothered announcing 6 matches for the damn pay-per-view. So I think they're jumping the gun with this one, but the character is a lot of fun, so I'm keeping an open mind about it. Kurt Angle and Bobby Roode had an in-ring confrontation. The promos were really strong here. They gave it some nice context, mentioning how Angle ruined Roode's night 2 years ago, and how that made him the man he is. And they took some digs at each other, like Roode saying that Angle isn't what he used to be, which does have a ring of truth to it. And this was really good. You know, it's kind of the opposite of the rest of the card, in that they've only had 2 weeks to hype the match, but what little build-up it had has been great. You know, Angle being back after he was away for a while feels like it's restored a little bit of the luster to his character, and I'm excited for this one. And hopefully, if their match isn't cut short by a pointless Jeff Jarrett promo this year, they'll get the chance to deliver the match that we should have gotten last time. Magnus comes out at the start of the show to say a few things about this bounty that Dixie Carter was putting on AJ, I'll get to that in a minute, and challenges Bully Ray to a match. Bully gets under his skin, playing into his recent insecurities, and that was all well done. Later they have their match. It's okay, that's about it. I did not like the finish. Bully goes for a chain, Sting tries to stop him, causes a distraction, low blow, Bully wins. Ugh, God. That's so cheap. Maybe it's just me, but I really don't like it when they fall back on all these usual dirty tactics and booking habits when they've got a big show coming up and everything is supposed to mean a lot more. I mean, that stuff just seems to cheapen it somehow. It added some tension between Magnus and Sting, and that needed to happen, but I'm starting to get a heel turn vibe from Magnus, and I really hope that's not the case. So I didn't care for what they did here, but I am still excited to see this match, just because Sting vs. Magnus has had the most coherent through line for the last several months. It looks like the writers had an idea for them, and they carried it out over a period of time without changing it, or scrapping it, or going in a different direction, or anything. And it's probably the only match on the Bound for Glory card you can say that about. I'm not expecting a 4-star classic, but I am expecting a star to be made in Magnus. And if that doesn't happen this Sunday, then TNA did something wrong. In the show opening promo, Dixie Carter puts a $50,000 bounty on AJ Styles for an angle that turns out to be nothing but a big waste of time. Bully Ray comes out and sucks up to her, and he talks about the bounty, but the actual match with AJ this Sunday is secondary to that. And later we get an AJ promo where he talks about the bounty and Dixie Carter and the title, but doesn't mention Bully Ray even once. You know, he challenges anyone who wants the bounty to come get some. And then the meat shields come out. And instead of easily disposing of these two losers and looking strong before he main events the company's biggest show, AJ gets overpowered by the 2 most meaningless members of the roster and has to be saved by the completely random appearance of Gunstorm, which seemed to serve no purpose other than reminding us that the tag team champions still exist. And this leads to that inexplicable match between Nux and Gunner, of all people, that was better left forgotten. And I get it, okay? Bully didn't have the Meat Shield's backs here, so they won't have his back at the pay-per-view. I get it. Did we really need to waste time on the go-home show reinforcing something we all knew was going to happen anyway? This was so pointless. Nux wasn't even in trouble when Garrett called for Bully to come out. This whole segment was a complete mess.
This whole show is ridiculous!
The final segment was a contract signing where Bully and AJ finally addressed each other. And this, I thought, came off really well. With Dixie and JB out there, it felt more important, like something we should be paying attention to. Bully cut a great promo, AJ cut a decent promo for him, and it ended the show on a strong note, just because it had AJ and Bully actually focused on each other for a change. And that's what's always been the issue with this build-up. Most of it has involved AJ being like, I'm gonna win the world title because Dixie Carter... ... Or Bully saying, I'm gonna retain the world title because Dixie Carter... ... I understand that Dixie is the crux of this new creative direction, whatever it is, but having both guys being so focused on the company president instead of each other doesn't exactly sell me on AJ versus Bully Ray. And that's the thing you needed to sell this whole time. Let me stress this again. I like the heel Dixie Carter character. It's gotten a ton of heat in a really short time. But when you apply it to the pay-per-view main event like this, it becomes a distraction from what we should be focusing on. So, am I excited for the match? Sort of. I know they can have a great match together, they've done it before, but mostly I'm interested in AJ winning the title and the Aces of 8's angle finally being done away with.
Yes! 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 Yes!
And if I can say one more thing before I wrap this up, the editing. The editing on this show was atrocious. My God, every couple of minutes I was barking at the TV screen saying, damn, this camera angle sucks, can we please cut to a better shot already? They even had the wrong graphic under AJ's name, for Christ's sake. Unless he changed his Twitter handle to @MickeyJames. I mean, how on earth does stupid shit like that possibly happen on a taped show when you have an entire week, that's 7 whole days to post-produce it? What do you have, a monkey editing your show now? Come on, TNA, you're embarrassing yourselves with this crap.
But don't boo me. You should be booing yourselves.
So there's your Bound for Glory Go Home episode. The first hour was lame and had too much filler. The second hour was better, but you really have to thank the last 2 segments for saving the show. In terms of hyping Bound for Glory, this was not good enough. Not nearly good enough. TNA need to do better than this, there's no getting around it. Let's pull the trigger on this new creative direction already, because something about this product needs to change.